It's gone 6 minutes. Actually, it is 6 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Good afternoon and welcome to the Monday edition of The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Oh, Nanda, man. Yes, love it. Catch us live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. And in fact, do yourself a favor, make your life easier. Download our brand new Channel Africa app. Is it still brand new? Hey, it's not brand new anymore. Download our Channel Africa app so you can take us with you wherever you go on your Android or your iOS device. On the app, you can stream us live. You can catch up on podcasts. You can read up about the presenters, get to know us a bit better, see all the amazing work that Channel Africa is doing behind the scenes. All right, here's what's coming up on The Upside this afternoon. We get into conversation about a case that has sort of rocked the employment industry, right? Have you ever found yourself, and I was having a conversation with Lulu Kabu earlier about it, have you ever found yourself looking for another job while holding down a job? Have you ever found yourself doing that? I think a lot of people do that. And for as far as we are concerned, I'm allowed to do that. Legally, I can definitely pursue that. There's nothing wrong with that. But in this particular case that we'll be unpacking, an employee was fired, for lack of a better word. He was fired from his position for doing that very thing. Right, and then it went to court, and somehow the court ended up ruling that the employer must pay this person 12 months' salary. It got reduced by further consultation to about 6 months. They had to pay him because it is legal. I am allowed to search for another job while holding down one job. Right, but we'll be unpacking all of that and talking about the rights that you have as an employee, because many of us really don't know our rights. And I think it's because we hardly read our contracts. We hardly read our employment contract. Let's be honest. Pick up your hand, please. Pick up your hand. Have you ever fully read your employment contract? No. It's a judgment-free zone. Judgment-free zone. Have you ever fully read your employment contract? Because the only place that we go to, the only thing we're interested in is how much am I getting paid on which day. Everything else, doesn't really matter until it matters. Right, so we'll be talking about that and the rights that you have as an employee and the rights that employers have. And then we'll be getting into our property corner this afternoon. The TPN, which is the TPN Credit Bureau, they are responsible for monitoring how renters or tenants behave, payment behavior rather. Right, they make sure that, okay, you're paying your rent on time, you're not faulting or defaulting on any area, therefore you are in good standing. I'm sure many people who pay rent, after you've paid your rent, about a couple of weeks later, you get an SMS that says, thank you for paying your rent on time. It reflects positively on your TPN credit, what. Well, last year in 2025, South Africa reported in the first half of the year that tenants were paying their rent on time, much better than in previous years. And we'll be unpacking what that actually means. Does this mean that there's more stability? Or people getting secure enough income to be able to afford that? They're not under pressure. We'll unpack what all that means. And then, of course, what caught your eye, and Vent O'Clock coming up on the show as well. It's 10 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Thank you so much for tuning in to The Upside.
Tebogo and Mmatsheko from The Upside.
Nkhanza zokhudza amuna ndi azimayi kapena kuti gender-based violence, GBV, zikuwononga mioyo komanso kuphwasula midzi. Zikuchitika m'manyumba, m'masukulu, malo ogwirira ntchito, ndipo kwambiri mwakachetechete. Koma sizikuyenera kupitirira. Mukazimva yankhulani. Ngati mwakhuzidwa, funani chithandizo. chifukwa kusachita chilichonse sikuthandiza. Mverani kuma wireless onse 14 a SABC kuchokera lachitatu pa 23 mwezi uno wa Julai kuti mumve zokambirana, malangizo, masewero, zionetsero za maphunziro ndi mafunso okhuza nkhanza za amuna ndi azimayi ndi akatswiri, anthu opulumuka ku nkhanzazi, okhazikitsa lamulo komanso dziko lonse lokhuzidwa ndi nkhanzazi. Zonsezi pa wireless yomwe mumayikonda ya SABC. Imbirani pa nambala 0800 428 428 kuti munene za nkhanzazi kapena kupeza chithandizo. Nkhanza zokhuza amuna ndi azimayi zimatha ndi inu. Uthenga ukufikani kuchokera ku SABC.
No matter where you are, Channel Africa is always with you.
Military touch.
Everything for you.
It's gone 15 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. My Lily by Jay Praise featuring David dismissed its safety, health, risk and quality manager Vishen Mahabir after accusing him of secretly pursuing work with a competitor and acting dishonestly. Both the CCMA and the Labour Court rejected those claims, confirming that employees are legally entitled to explore the opportunities while still employed. To unpack what this means for workers and employers, we are joined on the line by Michael Bagram, a labor lawyer. Michael, thank you so much for your time. I thought it was legal all this time until this court ruling that I am allowed as an employee to seek other opportunities while I am employed. Why was this not the case at Lekhuleni and they decided, no, this does not apply to you?
Well, look, let's go backwards a little bit. And I have employees speaking to me on a daily basis telling me that they've been loyal to their employer for many years and now they're being retrenched. And, what's going on? Why am I being retrenched? I've done nothing wrong. It's business. It's business as usual. And people need to understand that business is business. Now, what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. Every single employee in South Africa is encouraged to keep the files open on what their value is out there in the market. Every single employee is actually deemed to be looking around all the time. You can't rely on loyalty. That doesn't work at all in this modern economy. We got a modern economy here in South Africa, and quite frankly, right through, and I'm now a little bit old, but right through my junior years working for other attorneys, I was always watching adverts. We all do that.
Of course.
All of us. You think maybe my value is better somewhere else, or maybe my boss in another place will be more pleasant to me. And I want to encourage everyone that's listening to keep your mind open, keep educating yourself, keep upskilling yourself, and keep looking. Yes, it's great to be loyal, and it's the old Japanese contract of employment, where you go find an employer at the age of 16 and you retire at 65 and you get a gold watch. The modern world doesn't work like that anymore, and everyone is encouraged to upskill themselves, educate themselves, do well where they are working, do really well, so that you've got the skills and that you can then be of benefit to another employer. What the court was saying, our Labour Court, is what does that mean? That means that you're disloyal to your current employer? Well, that's nonsense. You find me one person, look at all your friends, all of them, they go online and they look at the job market.
Of course.
Everyone does that. And I would expect people to do it. People are normal and they want to better themselves. They want to better their family. And so the court endorsed that. Now, I must just tell you, yes, there are employers out there who are saying, if you're looking for another job, please come speak to me first. Please give me first opportunity. And that's fine. But to tell people that if they look, they're breaking the loyalty, and that's what happened over here. This employer thought that this was a breach of the loyalty between them, a breach of trust, they said in the court case. And it clearly isn't. We all want to better ourselves in every which way we can. Obviously not illegally and not dishonestly, but we want to better ourselves.
We're still in conversation with Michael Bagram. He is a legal expert here on the show, and it's always a pleasure to have a conversation with him. We're looking at your rights when it comes to, whether you are allowed to negotiate with a competitor while still employed with another employer. This, of course, following a Johannesburg Labour Court finding dismissal being unfair, I beg your pardon, for a previous employer. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. Only on Channel Africa, the African perspective. 60 years of Channel Africa. Your trusted voice. Your African perspective. Into the future. Across Africa, communities rise with the promise of clean water and clean sanitation. The African Union's 2026 theme calls us to action.
It's about mobilizing real commitments, securing climate-resilient water and sanitation projects, and ensuring that water becomes a driver of sustainable development and prosperity across the continent.
A landmark moment, not only for Africa, but for the global movement for access to safe water for all.
Assuring sustainable water availability for every home, every village, every nation. This is the Africa we want.
Channel Africa, the African perspective.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
We're 21 minutes in. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We have Michael on the line. He's our labor lawyer and we are looking at unfair dismissals based on the fact that we are, entitled, I guess, to explore other opportunities. But there is a case that went to the CCMA actually, and the Labour Court described the charges against this particular person as unlawful and that people are allowed to go and seek other opportunities. Michael, I'm actually embarrassed to even ask you this question, but I mean, people have gotten off of murder for reasonable doubt. So I'm going to go ahead and ask anyway. Is there ever a point where an employer can lawfully stop me from looking for other employment, not just based on loyalty, but perhaps there are contractual obligations, whatever those may be, that can actually stop me as an employee from seeking other opportunities?
No, they can't, but it's not open season. And so, you hit a raw nerve because in your contract, you'll probably find, and especially more senior people, restraints of trade agreements. So in other words, if I'm learning certain secrets of the trade, certain clients, knowledge of prices and that sort of thing, and I go to another employer and they're competitors and I say, listen, let me share some information with you from where I'm working now so you can see how good it will be to employ me. If your current employer finds that out, not only will they then dismiss you, but they'll probably take criminal action and civil action against you. So you've got to be really careful. I do have some people who say, and I've just had an estate agent call me and say, well, the opposition has asked him to come and he wants to take all his clients with him. And I said, no, that's illegal in terms of your contract. It's illegal in terms of our common law. We're a nation that actually likes fairness. And you don't want to go and steal that information. Likewise, there was a case many years ago of a pharmacist who had been accused of stealing a formula of a new drug that they were making, and he went and applied for the competitor's job. And the current employer decided that we need to check up about this formula and whether it had ever been downloaded on this pharmacist's own personal computer system, which it had been. They went ahead and dismissed, and they said, we didn't dismiss you because you are looking for a job or that you're looking for our direct competitor, despite the fact that we hate him. We dismissed you because you've taken a formula that's cost us millions to devise with your help, and you've put it down in your private computer, and now we're very suspicious and we don't trust you. So your question is a very sore one in the sense that people need to be careful that you don't be caught trying to sell yourself with information that's not actually yours and should be protected. And even if you haven't signed a restraint, you have common law. We have common South African law. You cannot steal private information from your employer. So if you both decide to go to a competitor's radio station and say, listen, we know all their secrets and we'll tell you all about it, take us on that basis and we'll give you a taste of what it's all about, what they're doing and how they're doing it. You don't do that. You wouldn't do that. I know you wouldn't do that. But I'm saying...
No, we wouldn't do that.
We've got to be, but we've got to be careful what message we give to our listeners.
Absolutely.
Michael, employers need to know that there are repercussions to, making such decisions. Was there any compensation then due to the employer or employee rather, who was dismissed unfairly?
Yeah, well, there always is. And in this particular case, it was back pay and damages. So we don't know if that's the end of the road because there might be an appeal. They're still in. This is a new case, so we're still in the litigation phase. And from what I understand is that that employer is considering an appeal. I don't think it was a reinstatement because obviously that employee didn't want a reinstatement, wanted to go and work for the others.
Yeah.
But there will be damages, yes, because first of all, there are legal costs, and you know that lawyers rip their people off, so you've got to be very careful of lawyers as well. And I've got to hide behind the mantle that I'm a lawyer, so I can't be defaming all the other lawyers. You know the old phrase, 99% of the lawyers give the other 1% a bad name. But there are enormous legal costs in running a case through the CCMA and then going to the Labour Court. And I must tell you, it takes years sometimes to get to the Labour Court. I'm not sure of the timing of all of this, but you can imagine the angst that that employee went through. You can imagine how much that employee spent, and you can imagine at what it's done to his career. It puts everything on hold. It's a terrible event. Labor law is very personal, and you know, one of our most valuable assets all of us own is our job. It's one of the most valuable assets.
Yeah.
And if you lose that, and especially in South Africa, where we've got a large unemployment problem, you don't want your name to be smirched. And you know, when you litigate against a current employer or even an old employer, the message goes out to other employers saying, don't touch Michael Bagram, he's dangerous. And then I'm now desperately trying to run from pillar to post with my CV, trying to get a job, and everyone knows that I've sued my previous employer and I can't get a reference. So you can imagine the damages that happened over there.
Absolutely. The reputational damage, very, very hard to repair, especially in cases of this kind. And just to use this case once again, Michael, as an example, as I understand it, the charges were described as trumped up. So let's talk about that. Perhaps you can unpack what mistakes the employer made in handling this particular disciplinary process, because we could find that cases of this nature are actually more common than not.
Yeah, I think the real mistake made by the employer in this situation is trying to curtail the rights of that employee. And many employers do it. They try and curtail also what you do at home and who you mix with. And I mean, as in my practice at labor law for the last 40 years, I've seen the most weird intervention of employers basically trying to control your life and what you're doing. You know, you say, listen, I'm going away for the weekend into the mountains. I'm going to go and camp in my little tent and have a break. And they say, no, you can't. You need to be online, just in case we need you. Now, we have lots of those types of things. With modern technology, employers they almost own you. It's a sort of form of slavery. Apparently, it's the worst in America, because once you're working for someone, you're theirs. And they control you from the minute you arrive home to the minute you wake up. They got absolute control. They force you to keep your phone on. It's just unbelievable. So in this particular case, they saw that as a breach of trust. How dare he apply for a job somewhere else? That's really what they framed their whole case that way. What they could have done as employers, they could have actually exercised their right by going to the employee and saying, we've heard you've applied, that's your right, but we hope you haven't taken any of our private information, you haven't badmouthed us, and you haven't told them any nonsense stories. You know, but at the end of the day, they charge this employee for bull SHYT. That's really what it boils down to. It's an absolute nonsense charge at a disciplinary hearing. And I've seen lots of these things where I had a case recently where the employee's wife had gone to work for the competitor and they dismissed him.
Oh, no.
Because they said, what about pillow talk? And he said, well, I mean, are you now trying to control me through my wife? Yeah. We have settled it. He left because he couldn't trust them afterwards. Then he left, but we settled the case and he was given 6 months' salary. And yes, indeed, he went to work for the competitor, but he wasn't planning to go. His wife was looking for a job and she thought, I could do the same as what my husband's doing, and she did do it and got a job. and on that basis they started attacking him and brought him to a disciplinary inquiry. I did step in and I said, but I mean, this is sheer nonsense. You can't control people's lives. If I want to go and interview somewhere, I'm going to go and interview somewhere. And if I don't want to tell them, that's my right not to tell them. That was another complaint they had. They said he did it behind their back. Well, what do you think? He's going to go and tell them, announce to everyone that I'm going for a job interview, and then I don't get it. And then everyone hates me.
Michael, we're going to have to park it there for today. Thank you so much for your time. I think if anyone needs your assistance, they can just check you out. Google your name, Michael Bygram. He's a labor lawyer. Again, confirming that looking for another job while you're employed is not misconduct, nor is it illegal. It's 31 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
It's a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Musibu Dimakura with the latest sports news at the Sawa. So former Bafana winger Sphiwe Shabalala has reflected on his recent trip to Mexico as a FIFA legend, an initiative aimed at building excitement ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup in the Americas later on this year. So now 41 years of age, the former Kaizer Chiefs star continues to reap the rewards of scoring the opening goal when South Africa hosted the global showpiece 16 years ago. Speaking to SABC Sport during the trophy tour this past weekend, where he featured as both a FIFA as well as a Coca-Cola ambassador, Shaba shared insights into what he described as a whirlwind 2 months.
And yeah, I was well received in Mexico, even though I expected, a hostile situation, but the welcome was great. I had so much fun. And also, rubbing shoulders with the best in the world. It was an incredible moment, a highlight as well. And it was a game that was also celebrating the preparation as well, and also the build-up for the World Cup in Mexico.
Now, Shabalala, who wore his own FIFA legend attire, said getting recognition from the governing body once again proved the impact not of his goal, but of South Africa hosting the world's first ever Africa World Cup.
Recognition from FIFA. I mean, that's the highest level. That's the mother body of world football as well. So for me, it was such an honor to get that recognition, and also even to get an opportunity to play, with the best players in the world, to share the dressing room, and also get to experience, their other side, the personal side, and the kindness as well, and their warmth. So I really had a great time.
On to tennis news now. Belinda Bencic as well as Elina Svitolina have made history by becoming the first mothers to simultaneously be ranked inside the world top 10. Bencic, 28 years of age, gave birth to a daughter, Bella, in April of 2024, and the Swiss player has now moved up one place to 9th in the latest WTA rankings following an 11th-month maternity break. Svitolina, meanwhile, 31 years of age, whose daughter Sky was born in October of 2022, has moved up 2 places to 10th as a result of the Ukrainian reaching the semi-finals of the first Grand Slam tournament of the year. That's, of course, the Australian Open just last month. Now, new mothers returning to the tour are able to use their previous ranking to enter 12 tournaments over a 3-year period from the birth of their child. Basketball news now. LeBron James has been selected for a record-extending 22nd consecutive NBA All-Stars game by being named among the reserves for the Western Conference. The 41-year-old Los Angeles Lakers star was not selected as a starter in January, but was among the 7 reserves chosen from each of the Eastern as well as Western conferences by the NBA coaches. Now, James, who missed his side's first 14 matches of the 2025-2026 campaign because of an injury, has played 31 times this season and is averaging 21.9 points per game. James was selected for the NBA All-Stars game in 2025 but did not play because of an injury. Meanwhile, Kevin Durant, who plays for the Houston Rockets, Devin Brooker for the Phoenix Suns, as well as Anthony Edwards for the Minnesota Timberwolves, were also selected as Western Conference reserves. Now, the All-Star Game has been revamped this season and will feature 2 teams of players from the United States and 1 team of international players. And finally, Kamila Valiyeva's comeback got off to an interesting start as the former Olympic prodigy finished 6th in the semi-finals of the Russian Jumping Championships on Sunday in her first competition since serving a 4-year doping ban. So the 19-year-old had a bobble on the landing of her opening quadruple toe loop and fell on her second, and then finished with a messy double flip and a triple sky-chow combination. Unlike traditional skating events, skaters had 90 seconds each to complete a series of jumps, only with generic background music playing. The top 3 advanced to the final. So nearly 4 years after her involvement in a doping scandal that marred the 2022 Olympic Games, Valiyeva re-entered the spotlight on Saturday in the quarterfinals that featured a clean quad toe loop, a jump that only a small number of female skaters have landed. It's exactly 13:37 p.m. Central African Time and concludes your first sporting update on the upside this morning afternoon. So for any sports stories you'd like to share with us, do send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Alternatively, call us on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802.
38 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Let's get the business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo, and good afternoon. 3 subsidiaries of the Dangote Group announced strengthened gas supply contracts with NNPC units to support the expansion plans, reflecting Nigeria's commitment to cleaner energy and industrial growth. The contracts are signed with Nigerian Gas Marketing Limited and NNPC Gas Infrastructure Company were part of the Nigeria Gas Master Plan 2026 launched to enhance the gas sector's infrastructure and supply. The plan aims to increase national gas output to 10 billion cubic feet per day by 2027 and 12 billion by 2030, seeking over $60 billion in investment. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ekberigbe Ekpo, emphasized the need to convert gas reserves into reliable supply, while NNPC Limited CEO Bashir Bayo Ojulari highlighted the goal for boosting production and attractive investment. A South African manufacturing sentiment gauge improved in January, with the Purchasing Managers Index PMI rising to 48.7 from 40.5 in December, nearing the 50-point mark, indicating better conditions. Despite the significant increase, weak exports, which reached their lowest since the COVID-19 pandemic, undermined the overall sentiment, suggesting recovery was primarily due to domestic demand. An index of expected business conditions for the next 6 months slightly decreased but remained well above the average. And South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has renewed calls for accelerated infrastructure investment across the continent, saying it is key to economic growth, inclusive development, and Africa's long-term resilience. Speaking during a virtual meeting of heads of state and government of the Presidential Infrastructure Champion Initiative, Ramaphosa highlighted infrastructure as a critical enabler of continental integration under the African Continental Free Trade Area, noting that Africa could double its gross domestic product by 2040 if infrastructure spending is escalated up. Michael Mbewe has more.
The role of the champions is to bring visibility and block bottlenecks, coordinate resource mobilization, and ensure project implementation. Presents the opportunity for African heads of state and government to be actively involved in the development and implementation of projects.
And the South African rand has weakened in early trade, pressured by a firmer US dollar as investors weighed what the Federal Reserve might look like under President Trump's reported pickup for Chair Kevin Warsh, while local markets awaited the release of a purchasing managers index. The rand traded at 16.22 against the dollar, about 0.4% down from Friday's close. South African manufacturing sentiment fell in December to its lowest level of 2025, driven by steep declines in inventories and employment subsidies. And the AU Commission Chairman Mohammed Ali Yusuf says that the continental body and the United Kingdom must work together to tackle a number of challenges. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf hosted the UK Secretary of State for Foreign and Commonwealth, Yeti Koppa, at the AU head office in Addis Ababa. The meeting has reaffirmed the enduring Africa-UK partnership and the shared commitment to the preservation of multilateralism. Kaya Kumalo has more.
The AU boss, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, has welcomed the UK contribution in Africa Centres for Disease Control in strengthening emergency preparedness. UK Secretary of State for Foreign and Commonwealth Cooper has commended the AU's leadership in global diplomacy and regional peace. The two leaders focused on Sudan and expressed concern over the deteriorating humanitarian situation and called for cessation of hostilities, ceasefire and humanitarian truce.
A look at your financial indicators. $1 US in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 386. In Botswana, it's 12 pula 99. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 45, and in Zambia, it's 19 kwacha 70. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 25. Russia, it's 75 rubles and 95, while in India, it's 91 rupees 61. China, it's 6 yuan 95, and in South Africa, $1 is trading at 16 rand 7 cents. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 84 to the euro. A look at your commodities. Gold is trading at $4,685 and platinum at $2,060 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is at $66.21 a barrel. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business News, I am Matabela Mahape.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Get the news, music, and lifestyle of Africa on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Conversations are happening, and Channel Africa is at the heart of them. We tell the African story with clarity, pride, and purpose, reaching audiences that matter to your brand. Partner with us and connect your business with listeners across borders in multiple languages and markets. For partnership opportunities, sponsorship, or sales, email us at partnership@channelafrica.co.za. Channel Africa, the African perspective. We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
Les gens me disent, les gens me oisent, et c'est ma bitch, et je suis son gars. On est dans le Nag, la capitale. Oh ma panne, oh ma panne. On est dans le Vouga, on fait du sale. Avant le Thomas, c'est d'abord le Dag. La pluie des sous, dans la capitale. Je ferai mes sous. Chérie, quoi qu'ils disent, t'es ma woman. En vrai, ils ont tort de dire qu'on sait pas où on va. Bébé, si je te plais, s'il te plaît, ne m'affiche pas. Je mène ma vie un peu comme celle d'un ninja. Ah, je suis choqué, tu me disais, viens on va lever. Coupé, ça n'a pas collé. Ok, à mon bébé. Oh oh, là je suis choqué. Tu me disais, viens on va lever. Coupé, ça n'a pas collé. Ok, à mon bébé. Satanana, en vrai que d'une satanana. Je suis amoureux d'une satanana. Toutes les femmes sont des satanana. Satanana, satanana. Et en vrai que d'une satanana. Je suis amoureux d'une satanana. Est-ce que toutes les femmes sont des satanana? Satanana, hey.
Pas de panique, j'étais là avec mes amis. Toi tu dis que je suis ta satana. Je t'ai vu avec Mélanie. Fais un effort, tu sais je t'aime encore. La nuit je dors pas, le soir je pense à toi. Reprends ton sac Chanel, ton amour je n'en veux plus. Reprends ton sac Chanel, chérie tu m'as déçu. Toi tu dis que je suis ta woman. T'arrêtes pas de me faire du mal. Toi tu dis que je suis ta woman. Mais j'ai si mal au final.
Là je suis choqué, tu me disais viens on va lever. Coupé, ça n'a pas collé. Ok, à mon bébé. Oh oh, là je suis choqué. Tu me disais viens on va lever. Coupé, ça n'a pas collé. Ok, à mon bébé. Oh oh, satanana. En vrai que d'une satanana. Je suis amoureux d'une satanana. Toutes les femmes sont des satanana. Satanana, satanana. Et en vrai que t'es une satanana. Je suis amoureux d'une satanana. Est-ce que toutes les femmes sont des satanana?
It's 13 minutes to 2 p.m. Central African Time. The song is titled Satanana by Ibuloko. But no, man. No. This song sounds exactly like Omalay's Woman. You know the song? Everything I do for my woman.
Oh, yes?
Yeah. Is it not the same song? I had to check. I had to Google. I was like, oh, no. Is it the same song but just translated in a different language? But yeah, it says no. It's a completely separate song to the one. Ay, man. Sounds Anyway.
If you don't have originality, you just immediately lose all my respect. All of it.
This is crazy. This is crazy. I mean, if anyone knows what's happening here, please do let us know in the comments section at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. Satanana by Iboloko, and then go and play Omalay's Woman. Play them back to back, then you tell me if... Ay, man. Let's take a quick breather. When we get back, it will be time for What Caught Your Eye?
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
Africa, voici Abedi.
Oui, c'est moi.
Abedi est un passionné de musique dans l'âme. Il a un goût pour toutes sortes de musique et passe ses journées à écouter Channel Africa.
J'aime beaucoup la musique africaine.
Ok. Devinez quoi? Channel Africa veut aider Abedi et les mélomanes du monde entier à découvrir encore plus de musique incroyable. C'est pourquoi Channel Africa appelle les artistes africains à soumettre leur musique. Chers artistes, n'oubliez pas de nous fournir toutes vos informations pertinentes à l'email adresse musique@channelafrica.co.za. Les soumissions sont votre chance d'être entendues, mais elles ne garantissent pas une playlist. Toutes les soumissions seront soigneusement examinées pour voir si elles répondent aux exigences de notre station. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
The Upside, taking the African perspective to fresh levels.
All right, it's 11 minutes before 2 p.m. Central African Time. It's time for What Caught Your Eye. Check us out on social media at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. Comment below on what caught your eye this past weekend. And by the way, we are streaming on those platforms as well, so you can see our lovely studio, our amazing guests. Here's what caught my eye. Mmatsheko Mosito.
Tell me, tell us.
Can I just start off by saying, we need to have, as South Africa, I'm referring to you, South Africa, we need to have a night vigil, right? A night vigil in which we come together and ask for divine intervention because what is currently happening in the Vaal and Vereniging area, no, man, there's something wrong. No. There's something that is happening there. There's a warfare that's happening there that I'm not quite understanding. 2026 was supposed to be our year to be great. Not so long ago, we reported about I think it was a 17-year-old high school boy who drowned in the Vaal River under suspicious circumstances. They found his body a couple of days later. Apparently, he was hanging out with friends who had a house there by the river. And during a movement in which they were departing from a boat to a jet ski, somehow he disappeared. No one knows what happened. Till this day, investigations are ongoing. And then we saw the horrific truck and minibus taxi crash that took the lives of school kids in Vereniging. Yesterday, 2 cyclists passed away. 5 passengers are currently in hospital because a VW Polo crashed into the cyclists. It's alleged that the VW Polo was speeding. It's alleged that the driver may have been under the influence, taking the lives of the 2 cyclists. The name of the cyclists, 49-year-old Jayesh Madhav and 52-year-old Atish Raman Jivan. They were both members of the Lenasia cycling community. They were getting ready for some tournament, some race, and this incident then took place. Investigations are underway to determine the cause of the accident, and no arrests have been made so far. But there is something not quite right in this area of Vereniging and the Vaal. We honestly need to have a night vigil. And just I know we need to pray for these people. There's something happening there. The whole nation, obviously, thoughts are towards the families of the people who have passed away. Condolences. Just be safe in those areas. I don't know what it is, but we need to have a night vigil. That's what caught my eye. Very sad.
That is unbelievable. I don't know what it is, but there is just a certain behavior that's going on the roads. Yeah. I mean, even in places where I move around, where people just don't know how. I don't know if it's because you don't know how to drive, or you don't know how to behave yourself, or you are just an unlawful human being, But I think there is a huge issue with how people just. I don't know. There's just I get a sense that there is a complete disregard for the law. Look, a mistake here and there, I mean, sometimes you can see when somebody has made a mistake. Sometimes somebody will stick the nose of their car in places where it's not supposed to be, and they'll apologize for it and reverse a little bit. And if you find yourself in a space where other drivers, or at least most of them, are courteous, they'll understand, they'll give you a chance to reverse or whatever the case is. That's just one example. Yeah. But there is just a complete disregard for the law on the road. Just people passing red traffic lights and, people really are just doing as they please. And I think that is contributing to the amount of accidents that we are seeing. So I really just wanted to throw in my 2 cents there, because I'm just as concerned as you are about what is happening on our roads. And I mean, particularly in the Vaal is now in all the headlines because of how tragic and how fatal, the accidents have been. It's absolutely terrible. So from that to some good news, man. And can I just say, when it comes to Fela Kuti, he's not just for the West Africans. He's for all the brown-bodied people all over, okay? Whether you're in the Dominican Republic, or whether you are in South Africa, or whether you are in Nigeria, his birth country. Listen, we celebrate the fact that Fela Kuti has been posthumously honored at the Grammy Lifetime with
Yeah.
A Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. I wanted to just borrow your British accent for a second. Isn't it wonderful? Because this makes him the first African artist ever to receive this distinction from this record-breaking academy, as it were. So this award was presented at the special ceremony that took place in LA. And I don't know if you were able to catch it, but if you were, please fill me in. Deborah was showing me clips. You were showing me clips of some interesting jokes that were made by comedian and talk show host Trevor Noah. But I think this is really just something to celebrate, you know.
Absolutely.
The fact that the 2026 Grammy Awards, you know, have acknowledged icons. You know, other icons that have won this particular accolade: Whitney Houston, Cher, Carlos Santana. Oh my goodness. Do you understand the caliber that we're talking about here? So Fela's family, including his children, accepted the accolade on his behalf, recognized, and he was recognized rather as an inventor of Afrobeat, because when you think about what Fela Kuti was able to do with the Africa 70 band, and the fusion of jazz, of funk, of African rhythm. It was never done before. So big love to Fela Kuti. I'm also thinking deeply about the drumming work of the co-founder of Afrobeat, Tony Allen, who also is a late great, very good friends with South Africa's Brahuma Sekela, very good friends with Sunny Ade from Ghana. You know, so listen, I'm so happy. This makes me very happy because this one is for the history books. We will never forget this accolade.
Fela Kuti.
Fela Akin.
Son is still around, right? His son. What's his name? Is it Sean or Sien or something like that?
Yeah, Sean Kuti. There's Femi Kuti, who's also touring quite extensively around the world and breaking all kinds of records. Yeah. And he's fit and physical. Eh?
I love to see it.
He's the one on stage. Love Femi Kuti. And he's got... I remember a couple of years ago, actually, I had his granddaughter speak to us on Channel Africa.
Okay.
We were talking about what we were talking about. We're talking about something to do with the family. There was a time when I went down a rabbit hole, looking at Fela Kuti's mother and, you know, the woman that raised him, who she was, and, you know, went down that rabbit hole. So we were talking to his granddaughter who lives in Britain. So he's got a very big family. He's like Matiba. Like lots of children, lots of grandchildren, you know, that carry his surname and his legacy all over the world.
Oh, well deserved. I think this is a celebration for the whole of Africa, whether you are in Gabon, in Nigeria, South Africa, Namibia. This is for Africa. The first African artist to be recognized under this prestigious award, Grammy Awards, a lifetime achievement. Fantastic. I was sharing a few videos of Trevor Noah making a few jokes on the Grammys.
Oi.
and how offended one Donald J. Trump is right now, and he's got his arrow pointed at Trevor Noah now. Because apparently he wants to now pursue legal action against the comedian for having said certain things, associating him with one Jeffrey Epstein.
And the Greenland joke.
And the Greenland joke. We'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, man, I mean, he's giving Kim Jong-un, he's giving dictatorship. Like he's taking a joke. It's a joke, right? He's joking around. He's a comedian. So now, if you as a president are going to exercise your power to now go after people for, making other people laugh, then you should not be holding such positions here. Anyway. We're not going to go into down that rabbit hole.
Are you being careful in case Trump's people are listening?
Oh.
Are you trying to be careful?
What is he going to do? Actually, no, let me take that back.
That back.
It's 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Looking at your top stories, Britain's Foreign Minister Yvette Cooper says her visit to Ethiopia will focus on reducing migration and Palestinians start passing through the Rafah border. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. Britain's Foreign Minister Yvette Cooper says her visit to Ethiopia will focus on reducing migration from the Horn of Africa to the UK by tackling its root causes. She said job creation, partnership and strong cooperation with the Ethiopian authorities could discourage people from leaving and assist combat smuggling gangs while speeding up returns of migrants with no right to stay. About 30% of small boat arrivals to the UK in the past years came from Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia and Sudan. Ethiopian journalist Samuel Getachew explains.
Well, you know, the UK has been on an election mood for a number of years. There's a lot of right-leaning political parties that are becoming the reality. The competition in the UK politics seems to be who is more mean or who is more anti-migration, anti-refugees. And the competition seems to be between three different parties, but they're taking extreme sides. And this seems to be a reaction to many people from the UK saying that they no longer want migration. The economy isn't as strong as it used to be.
Nigerian police say 80 Christian worshippers abducted by gunmen last month have been undergoing medical checks after returning home. The mass kidnapping targeted 3 churches in a remote part of Kaduna State. Nearly 180 people were taken. South Africa's Parliament legal advisor Andile Dejana says the National Assembly Speaker Togo Dizitidiza is urging caution on how Parliament handles the appearance of Brian Mokgotsi before the ad hoc committee that's probing allegations of criminal infiltration, corruption and political interference in the country's criminal justice system. Dejana says the Speaker is citing serious security concerns, adding that Mokgotsi's allegations of an attempt on his life as well as against senior police figures means his safety cannot be taken lightly and that Parliament must be seen to act reasonably.
We have Brian Mokgotsi, who we have now scheduled to consult with on Wednesday after earlier also he raised issues both about not having legal representation and also some security concerns. So we have agreed to consult with him virtually on Wednesday, and he will discuss further his in-person attendance with Vonani, who will no doubt communicate with you, Honourable Chair, about an in-person appearance and to make sure that he's comfortable.
South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has expressed his sadness at the passing of the last surviving signatory of the Freedom Charter and accused number 4 on the 1956 treason trial, Leon Levy. The 96-year-old member of the South African Congress of Trade Unions and the Communist Party of South Africa died in Cape Town today. He was arrested in 1956 and charged with treason together with his brother Norman. Presidential spokesperson Vincent Magwenya.
President Ramaphosa finds the passing of Leon Levy as a sad moment for us as fellow human beings. It is particularly sad for us as citizens of a South Africa that attained freedom from apartheid through the hard and sacrificial activism of Leon Levy and those who were in the trenches with him, including his brother Norman. Leon Levy was part of a generation whose contributions to a better life and a better world for all South Africans and humanity globally must never be forgotten or dishonored.
Palestinians have started passing through the Rafah border crossing between the Gaza Strip and Egypt. It has largely been kept closed for almost 2 years after Israeli forces captured the Gazan side. The BBC's Yolanda Nell.
The long-delayed reopening of the Rafah crossing is a key part of President Trump's ceasefire plan for Gaza. It will come as a relief to many Palestinians who see it as a lifeline to the world, though there's frustration at the fact only small numbers of people and no goods will be allowed through. Israeli reports say that each day only 50 patients who can each travel with 2 relatives will be allowed to exit, and 50 people who left Gaza during the war can return. The crossing is to be run by European Union supervisors and local Palestinian staff. Israel will be able to carry out remote security checks.
Recapping on your top stories, Britain's Foreign Minister says set to visit Ethiopia today. Says her visit to Ethiopia will focus on reducing migration from the Horn of Africa to the UK by tackling its root causes. Now, for any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Tsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective. Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. Time to stay informed, inspired, and connected to the ideas driving Africa forward. The Upside on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Hey, welcome to the second hour, the golden hour of The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African Perspective, with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and Mmatsheko Mosito. Still coming to you live from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. Stream us live on social media at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. Mmatsheko Mosito, what's coming up in this hour?
Look, I think in Happy New Developments, it doesn't look like all of the property market is depressed, okay? Especially when we look at, I'm obviously speaking from a very limited view because I've been watching, property prices, buyer-seller dynamics in the city of Johannesburg, which is where I'm based, and it is very depressed, okay? But it doesn't seem like that is the case overall, especially when we look at commercial property, because the commercial property sector, I beg your pardon, is showing signs of recovery as landlords adapt to improve tenant payment levels. So we're going to unpack what that looks like, what that means. And on the line with us, we're going to have the director of TPN Credit Bureau so that we can look at it from that particular angle and that perspective. So stay with us. We're going to look at what these steady improvements look like, how the economic climate, this rand-dollar exchange, does that have anything to do with what we're seeing and the new data from TPN. So stay with us. We're going to bring you that conversation shortly.
Africa Update on Channel Africa with Lulu Kabu.
Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi has now accused Rwanda of violating the peace deal. Are you surprised at this latest accusation? This is literally days after a signing, a ceremony, so to speak.
This is not surprising. If you ask Paul Kagame, he would also say almost the same thing. One should ask a question. The broker of the peace deal, President Trump, what is it that he wants? Why now? And why is this peace deal being signed in the Americas and not in the Great Lakes? Paul Kagame has never respected Tshisekedi, as often say. Tshisekedi must deal with the problems in his country. He has nothing to do with it. So this peace deal, obviously, when it was signed, one just looked at it and said, this will not last.
Kenny Matiba, former journalist.
Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Tumeona chapisho mapema hii leo ya kwamba Wizara ya Mambo ya Nje ya nchini Marekani imesema inapitia upya uhusiano wake na nchi ya Tanzania. Pengine taarifa hii imepokelewaje na wananchi wa Tanzania?
Cha kwanza tumeiona taarifa ambayo imetoka hii leo. Sisi kwetu taarifa hii haikutushangaza wala haikutushtua kwa sababu tulishaona taarifa kama hiyo imetoka kwenye balozi wa Marekani nchini Tanzania, ikiwa imetolewa na Bwana Tom Pigott.
Umezungumza kwa kina kabisa. Haya ni malalamiko ambayo yamekuwa yakijitokeza mara kwa mara. Unadhani sasa je, wana hoja ya msingi?
Unauliza maswali mazuri sana na maswali ya tafakari. Maswali ambayo hayawezi kujibiwa kwa dakika moja au kwa siku moja. Ni maswali yanayohitaji tafiti, yanayohitaji kusoma.
Darubini ya Afrika kila Jumatatu hadi Ijumaa kuanzia saa 11 kamili hadi saa 12 kamili jioni majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
No interruptions, just the music you love on Channel Africa.
Eyes on my neck, eyes on my wrist. Many days I never sleep. Every day I'm chasing good life. Ayataya, roller coaster, never tire. Sender, you wish me bad. Sender. I never come down going higher. Johnny Sisi, load up, cash up, cash out. Onimaga, Bilam, small money, ball out. Usain Bolt, run up, you get to your clients, lock 'em. If you no get money, leave 'em. EFC symbol, Japa, Johnny Sisi, load up, cash up, cash out. Onimaga, Bilam, small money, ball out. Usain Bolt, run up, you get to your clients, lock 'em. If you no get money, leave 'em. EFC symbol, Japa. Yeah, let you go. Hey, come on, let us show my life. Let you go. Come on, let us show my life. Black, for me, see them on treasure.
Well, everybody anyway, now we are shall my good tummy. One more dog was sick, one other was sick, cold tag with story. Oh my god, you also she look like money to the teleneck. When you talk a loco, Becky Gloco, oh, fashion share up, cool of a come.
Every day I'm chasing good life.
If I don't show my body,
ayataya, roller coaster, never tire.
Hustler, come on. I'm a Johnny Sisi.
I go low down.
I don't low down.
Check up.
If you check up, you go know say na confirma. Oh yeah, chichi, shoba toyin pẹ̀lú kiki.
They don't confirm.
Professor, abo mo oji wa yi.
Your special
Àlàyé sọ ni pros, ariwo ti fẹ́ moriwo. Oh yeah, pokoli, àwọn ilé wọn máa ń gbé bọ́jú.
Eyes on my neck, eyes on my wrist. Many days I never sleep. Eyes on my neck, eyes on my wrist. For money I never sleep, mommy I take the risk. Black for me area. Tobago me jack by the cashier. I want to meet them carnival. Oh my calo you every carnival. Mado, baddest. I want to me bado, baddest. This place on Mr. Loda. Tobari SCC Japa. Johnny Sisi, Loda, cash up, cash out. Onimaga, Bilam, small money, ball out. Mado, baddest. I want to me bado, baddest. Usain Bolt, gone now, you get to your clients, lock 'em. Black for me area. Tobago me jack by the cashier. I want to meet them carnival. Oh my calo you every carnival. Mado, baddest. I want to me bado, baddest. This place on Mr. Loda. Tobari SCC Japa.
It's dope sticks, baby. It's STG.
14 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Beautiful music coming through on the Upside. Cash App is the name of the song by Bella Schmurda, Zlatan and Lincoln on that one. It's time now for us to have a rather important conversation about habits that tenants are exhibiting over the past the past year. There seems to be an improvement on that front. Commercial property reporting that people are paying their rent on time, which is a good thing. But does this mean that the economy is improving? Are we just managing our money better? Which one is it? Which one is it, Mmatsheko?
Well, maybe the two go together because South Africa's commercial real estate sector is showing signs of steady improvement, despite what we're seeing with this very uncertain, some would describe it as a tough economic climate, okay? We understand that there's new data from TPN Credit Bureau that reveals that rental collections improved slightly in the first half of the year 2025 as landlords and investors adjusted how their buildings are used and how they work with tenants. So these changes, as we understand it, are beginning to support better payment behavior, even as economic growth sort of remains modest in many spaces. But what we're seeing is actually positive. So let's have a conversation about it. Let's look at what is happening, the commercial rental monitor and what they're revealing as well. We have on the line the director of TPN Credit Bureau, Waldo Marcus. Waldo, welcome to Channel Africa. A pleasure to talk to you this afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. So let's talk about this improvement. What is this improvement in rental collections during the first half of the previous year, 2025? What does it tell us about the state of the commercial property sector in South Africa?
There's various key performance indicators that we look at to determine if we believe that the commercial rental market is doing well, if we start seeing some stresses or strain coming through. And one of the key ones that we track is good standing. And you alluded to tenants are paying their rent better. And how we classify a tenant in good standing is it means that in this case, the commercial tenant has met all their rental obligations in full by the end of the month. They then classified as a tenant in good standing. And what we've seen in the first half of 2025 is we've seen an increase in the number of tenants meeting those obligations. Now, what that means is that they have the ability and the willingness to make those rental payments and meet their full rental obligations. As of last year, we're sitting at 76.8%, so let's make it 77%, and that was up from the end of 2024, where it was sitting at 74.8%. So it's about a 2% increase that we've seen. Now, in our world, 2% is a big difference. It means that there is 2 out of 100 tenants more committed towards paying their rental on time. And the commercial market has really been struggling for various reasons. During the introduction, you said the economic growth was modest. We believe that is actually very sluggish. We were sitting at a 0.1% GDP. That went up to a 0.8. We're going to potentially make 1.2%. And that is an economy that has a lot of headwinds. And that comes from the back of infrastructure challenges that we've seen. But for these tenants to remain committed, it means that they are seeing value and that their businesses in which the premises that they function, being an office, be it a retail shop, an industrial store, that means that they are seeing some potential changes taking place. And we've seen those changes not so much due to a great economic and employment numbers coming through. It's more about how these owners, investors of these large properties, commercial properties, have adjusted their rental model, their way of marketing their space, and also how they worked with tenants to ensure that at the end they do meet their rental obligation and their business succeed in that space with the hope that they would grow and require more space.
It's 19 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. We'll continue our conversation with Waldo from TPN, talking to us about the improvements that they are seeing in the commercial property rental market, where, tenants are seemingly able to pay their rents. They're no longer, waiting until the 3 months when the debt collectors are calling them, saying, "Hey, when have you?" Or the landlord shouting at them, "Hey, when are you going to pay?" It looks like they are committing to their rent and they are paying and they're in good standing. And we'll unpack what that all means further on with Waldo right after this.
Conversations are happening, and Channel Africa is at the heart of them. We tell the African story with clarity, pride, and purpose, reaching audiences that matter to your brand. Partner with us and connect your business with listeners across borders in multiple languages and markets. For partnership opportunities, sponsorship, or sales, email us at partnership@channelafrica.co.za. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Mosito and Lekhuleni. On the upside.
20 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Let's continue our conversation with Waldo Marcus, Director at TPN Credit Bureau, because South Africa's commercial property sector, as said earlier, is showing signs of cautious recovery despite ongoing economic pressure, with the new data from TPN Credit Bureau indicating that rental collections improved slightly in the first half of 2025 as landlords adapted how buildings are used and how they engage with tenants. Waldo, that last point there, how landlords adapted how buildings are used. What are we seeing now? Are landlords no longer, just using their properties as a place where physical, human beings walk in and out, but now more as storage facilities with the rise of online shopping? How are landlords utilizing these spaces to maximize on ensuring that they pay their rents on time?
You've actually used a very good example of how these have changed and how the asset usage has been changed, where you would see traditional office space, older office buildings being converted into storage facilities or converted into residential property, which as an asset class has performed very, very well in South Africa, and we expect it to continue to perform very well. But you've also seen that, for instance, retail spaces where introduction of a click and collect areas are being introduced. Retailers are not necessarily larger, grocery retailers are not necessarily taking up more aisle space, but they're opting to ensure that they have a distribution area within that shopping center that help make home deliveries. Where we see, for instance, traditionally large industrial buildings were specifically built and designed for a tenant and their use. These buildings are now being developed, and then based on the tenants, they are brought in, they are adapted to suit that specific tenant and or subdivided, making industrial and especially warehousing space a lot more accessible. Shared office spaces, so traditionally you had to sign a lease and you as an occupant take up a specific square meterage. They're introducing serviced offices or shared office spaces, so a bulk of the space is now being used by individual entrepreneurs or people that is a team of 4 or 5 that want to collaborate, and they can almost go in as a pay-as-you-go service with, of course, additional sundry services that is provided by landlords. For instance, distribution, courier services, copying and printing services, to really speak to the need of any size and type of business. And these transformations have really accelerated in the past couple of years. If you look at some of the big changes, especially in Sandton, where we've seen well-located office buildings being converted into rented apartments, and in some cases being sold as sectional title, and where we've seen a drop in demand in some of those asset classes, they've really stepped in and changed the way that they contract, but also how they use that space. And then that's aligned to how tenants actually want those spaces to be used, reducing risk in various ways. And that's really helped the commercial asset owner to attract tenants that is able and willing to pay, but also willing to take a bit of a risk to say, if I've got 20 tenants and they all pay me a little bit versus one tenant, if that one tenant leaves and they're a big occupant, impacting my cash flow. But if 10% of my 20 tenants leave, it's only 2, my cash flow is not as negatively impacted. And it's a combination of these strategic initiatives that has really helped the commercial sector and the asset classes come to perform better than what we've seen a couple of years ago.
Office space seems to remain the weakest performer, in our conversation. So I want to understand the dynamics that influence that. What are some of the challenges that are holding back that particular space? And people have returned back to the office. We're post the COVID time. So what is the challenge there exactly?
There has definitely been a large trend to go back to the office, and if you were driving in Sandton CBD 2 years ago and you're driving in Sandton CBD now, you would definitely see the change in pedestrians, traffic, etc. But what has really happened is how these businesses and the office worker in this case really consume that space. Traditionally, everyone had an office and there was an office with a boardroom. Now we're spending a lot more time on Teams. Open plan is more is encouraged. So because people are still hybrid working, 3 or 4 days in office, the rest from home. It's just how that whole space is being consumed. Open plan is more encouraged with a couple of offices that is flexible. And if you go back 10, 15 years ago, everyone had their own office. There was small pockets where you've had some open plan with 5 or 6 people. That has been expanded to say we rather have 2 or 3 individual offices, but we make provision for 30 people at hot desk. And that's also how the actual office worker has changed over the years. Everything is a lot more virtual and digital, but also not necessarily sitting and in one spot. This is your office, this is your space. It's now shared spaces. So that's the one element that's really driven offices. I also think pre-pandemic, there was a bit of an oversupply of really well-located office space. And as the economy has not kept up with the supply that was brought online, we would have seen with excess stock. There's also certain areas within CBDs, etc., with challenges around security, access to transport, etc., that has really seen an uptick in the vacancies in those buildings as large corporates also diversify their footprint. Rather than having one large head office, they diversify and they have like 4 or 5 satellite offices that is closer to the talent that they want to attract and or where their current staff is based, just making it a lot more accessible for people that want to work from different areas during different times of the week.
Waldo, TPN is the only credit bureau globally to specialize in tenant payment behavior. I want to know what weight then TPN holds when it comes to preventing or allowing someone to have access to the rental market based on their TPN credit record. I mean, on a monthly basis, those who rent, they will get an SMS that reads, "Thanks for paying your November, December, January rent on time. Your TPN credit record has been positively updated." What weight then does this have on someone's prospect of renting another property or another space, if it is a good standing or a bad standing?
As a credit bureau, we're basically the aggregator of information across the sector, and that sits across residential and commercial property. Now, if you're a property investor and you looking for a tenant that needs to take a 1-year residential property space or a 10-year long-term lease within one of your industrial or commercial properties, you want to understand their payment behavior, similar to how you would track someone's credit card repayment, their vehicle repayment, their bond repayment. Why TPN is specialized in this is we were the first credit bureau that really collects directly from the individual rent collectors. So that could be managing agents, landlords themselves, into the credit bureau. And what we've really tried to do here was to say, if you're going to place a new tenant, understand not just how they pay their other credits, but how did they perform in terms of renting a space. Now you ask, how does it impact someone? It's effectively got 2 impacts. One is that if you are a good tenant and you've paid your rental well and it's on time and you've built that record up, applying for a new property moves you to the top of the list because the landlord would look at you more favorably. It also gives, in some cases, you bring a good covenant, so therefore you've proven for the past 10 years you've really committed to paying your rental. It also speaks to access other credit. The flip side, unfortunately, is if you are a bad payer and you're not paying your rent as required by the lease agreement, that you either going to not get access to a property that you applied for, and or the property owner or landlord will factor in a risk value, and that risk value can come in the form of higher rental. It's not there to prevent anyone from getting access. It's merely providing empirical data on historic behavior to make an informed decision on putting someone into a property. And because there's quite strict regulations on what we can do if someone doesn't pay their rent, the credit bureau just gives that additional value that a person understands that if they are not meeting this obligation, that it will impact their ability to access potential future rentals, but also other credit lines. And if you're a residential tenant looking at potentially one day buying your own home, when you've proven that you've paid for 3-4 years, you've paid rental on time, it's going to be work in your favor applying for a bond. And for commercial landlords, understanding the risk of a tenant and where they are in their journey is very important in terms of understanding the risk towards your building. It's helping your investors understand what that risk is. And you want to spread that risk. Yes, you will need to take some risk on as a potential retailer that is unique that you want to place in your shopping center. That's a risk, and you factor that into your rental calculations. But on the other hand, you also want a good balance of tenants that will pay the rent on time. So it really speaks to having that balance, but it's about giving empirical data. It's giving real data that is up to date to a property investor to understand who's moving into their building. Included in there, for instance, is also ID verifications and SIPC data checks, so that when someone moves into your building, they actually who they say they are, we can check and say this is really who they are, and yes, they are, what they've said on the application form is true.
Okay, well, this was very informative. We got to learn a bit more about Credit Bureau, TPN Credit Bureau that is, and also just what's happening commercially when we look at property as a sector. Waldo, it was wonderful to have you on the program. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a fantastic afternoon.
All right, with that said, it is 2:30.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
It's a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Mosibu Dimakura with your latest sports news at the Sawa. So, South Africa's Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, has dismissed reports suggesting that the country has been confirmed as the new host of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations tournament. So, according to a statement that was released in the early hours of this morning, the minister stated that no formal decision has been taken to replace Morocco. McKenzie also reaffirmed that Morocco remains the official host of the tournament, which is scheduled to kick off on the 17th of March. The minister was responding to comments credited to the Deputy Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Peace Mabe, who had claimed that South Africa had taken over the hosting rights after Morocco allegedly withdrew from the competition with just 5 weeks to the start of the continental showpiece. Mabe said that Morocco pulled out of hosting the WAFCON and that South Africa was ready to step in. By the way, she was speaking during last night's Hollywoodbets Super League Awards, when she made those comments regarding South Africa being ready and able to host the upcoming Women's Africa Cup of Nations tournament. However, of course, McKenzie clarified that South Africa has merely expressed readiness to assist the Confederation of African Football if the need arises. That's, of course, a story that we'll be tracking throughout the course of the next coming weeks to see whether South Africa will step in, but more importantly, whether the Confederation of African Football will make an official announcement about Morocco's inability to host the upcoming continental women's football showpiece. While former Bafana winger Piwe Shabalala has reflected on his recent trip to Mexico as a FIFA legend, an initiative aimed at building excitement ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup in the Americas later on this year. So now, 41 years of age, the former Kaizer Chiefs star continues to reap the rewards of scoring the opening goal when South Africa hosted the global showpiece 16 years ago. Speaking to SABC Sport during the trophy tour this past weekend, where he featured as both a FIFA as well as a Coca-Cola ambassador, Shaba shared insights into what he described as a whirlwind 2 months.
And yeah, I was well received in Mexico, even though I expected, a hostile situation. But the welcome was great. I had so much fun, and also, rubbing shoulders with the best in the world. It was an incredible moment, a highlight as well, and it was a game that was also celebrating the preparation as well, and also the build-up for the World Cup in Mexico.
Now, Shabalala, who wore his own FIFA legend attire, said getting recognition from the governing body once again proved the impact not of his goal, but also South Africa hosting the global showpiece back in 2010.
Recognition from FIFA. I mean, that's the highest level. That's the mother body of world football as well. So for me, it was such an honor to get that recognition, and also even to get an opportunity to play, with the best players in the world, to share the dressing room, and also get to experience, their other side, the personal side, and the kindness as well, and their warmth. So I really had a great time.
On to some tennis news now. Belinda Bencic as well as Elina Svitolina have made history by becoming the first mothers to be simultaneously ranked inside the top women's 10 players in the world. Now, Bencic, 28 years of age, gave birth to her daughter Bella in April of 2024, and the Swiss player has now moved up one place to 9th in the latest WTA rankings following an 11th-month maternity break. Svitolina, meanwhile, 31 years of age, whose daughter Scar was born in October of 2022, has moved up 2 places to 10th as a result of the Ukrainian reaching the semi-finals of the just concluded Australian Open. Now, new mothers, by the way, returning to the tour are able to use their previous ranking to enter the 12 tournaments over a 3-year period from the birth of their child. Meanwhile, in the men's ATP rankings, Novak Djokovic replaces Alexander Zverev at number 3 following the Serbian's appearance in the final in Melbourne yesterday. Djokovic, 38 years of age, was aiming to win a stand-alone record 25th Grand Slam title on Sunday, but was beaten in 4 sets by Carlos Alcaraz. The Spaniard, meanwhile, stays as the world number 1 after becoming the youngest man to complete a career Grand Slam at just the age of 22 with his 7th major title. German Zverev, meanwhile, who was defeated by Alcaraz in the last 4, drops to 4th position, with Italy's Yannick Sinner remaining 2nd after his semi-final loss to Novak Djokovic. It is 14:37 p.m. Central African Time. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, do remember to always send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Give us a call as well on +27 11714 4459. I'm back with the final sports update on the upside in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibu Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
Let's just do it.
Your life just got easier. Get the Channel Africa app and take us wherever you go. Catch the latest news, enjoy your favorite shows, stream the music you love, and stay connected to the continent. All in one spot, right in your pocket. Simple, quick, and always with you. The Channel Africa app. Download it now on iOS and Android.
38 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Let's get the latest business news and find out how the markets are moving.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo, and good afternoon. 3 subsidiaries of the Dangote Group announced a strengthened gas supply contract with NNPC unit to support their expansion plans, reflecting Nigeria's commitment to cleaner energy and industrial growth. The contract is signed with Nigerian Gas Marketing Limited and the NNPC Gas Infrastructure Company were part of the Nigeria Gas Master Plan 2026 launched to enhance the gas sector's infrastructure and supply. The plan aims to increase national gas output to 10 billion cubic feet per day by 2027 and 12 billion by 2030, seeking over $60 billion in investment. Minister of the State for Petroleum Resources, Egberigbe Egbo, emphasized the need to convert gas reserves into reliable supply, while NNPC Limited CEO Bashir Bayo Ojulari highlighted the goal of boosting production and attracting investment. And South African discount retailer Pepco Holdings reported a 12.9% rise in first quarter revenue to $1.9 billion driven by acquisitions and growth in the core clothing brand Pep alongside the demand for tech products. Group sales increased by 10.6% in the festive season trading quarter, which ended in December 31 compared to the same period in 2024, with a 5.2% rise when excluding acquisitions. Like-for-like sale rose by 3%. The clothing and general merchandise segment saw a 10.3% sales increase, while furniture, appliances and electronics grew by 13.7%. The financial service business experienced a remarkable 47.6% revenue increase attributed to high demand for insurance and retail credit. A South African manufacturing sentiment gauge improved in January, with the Purchasing Managers Index PMI rising to 48.7 from 40.5 in December, nearing the 50-point mark, indicating better conditions. Despite this significant increase, weak exports, which reached their lowest since the COVID-19 pandemic, undermined the overall sentiment, suggesting recovery was primarily due to domestic demand. An index of expected business conditions for the next 6 months slightly decreased but remained well above the average. And the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has renewed calls for accelerated infrastructure investment across the continent, saying it is a key to economic growth, inclusive development and Africa's long-term resilience. Speaking during a virtual meeting of heads of state and government of the Presidential Infrastructure Champion Initiative, Ramaphosa highlighted infrastructure as a critical enabler of continental integration under the African Continental Free Trade Area, noting that Africa could double its gross domestic product by 2040 if infrastructure spending is scaled up. Michael Mbewe has more.
The role of the champions is to bring visibility and block bottlenecks, coordinate resource mobilization and ensure project implementation. Presents the opportunity for African heads of state and government to be actively involved in the development and implementation of projects.
And a collapse in the price of precious metals has spilled into Asian markets in Monday's trading. The price of gold tumbled as much as 9%. Silver has seen a greater percentage falls, and prices had hit record highs earlier this month after central banks added more billion to their reserves. Investors put money into safe haven assets due to financial and geopolitical uncertainties. Markets had also been worried about the independence of the U.S. Federal Reserve. The BBC's Nick Marsh has this report.
The price of gold has continued to fall in Asia trading this morning. Same goes for silver as well. The silver's kind of gone up a bit, then it's gone down a bit, but the general trend is gold and silver have continued to go down. The bulk, though, of the action was actually on Friday, when there was some really big drops, about 10% in the price of gold. That was linked to a couple of things. President Trump confirming that he's appointing someone called Kevin Warsh as the new chair of America's central bank, the Federal Reserve.
And look at your financial indicators. $1 US Nigeria is trading at 1,000 Naira 386. In Botswana, it's 12 Pula 99. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 45. And in Zambia, it's 19 kwacha 70. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 25. Russia, it's 75 rubles 95. India, it's 91 rupees 61. While in China, it's 6 yuan 95. And in South Africa, $1 is trading at 16 rands 7 cents. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 84 to the euro. A look at your commodities. Gold is trading at $4,685 and platinum at $2,060 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is at $66.21 a barrel. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business News, I am Matapela Mahape.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
madapiri pazoshitika. Madapiri pazoshitika.
madotolo oposa 1500 amene amagwira ntchito yaulere mu zipatala zaboma mdziko la Zambia azanyanyala ntchito lachisanu sabata yammawa, ndipo Daniel Shabanda kutambasula nkhaniyi.
Madotolo oposa 1500 amene amagwira ntchito mopanda malipiro apamwezi dziko la Zambia akuyembekezera kuyamba kunyanyala ntchito. Ichi ndi chifukwa chakuti boma lalephera kuwalemba ntchito monga mmene lidawalonjezera. Channel Africa News yalankhulana ndi mkulu wa bungwe la madotolo la Resident Doctors Association of Zambia, Dr. Pochiwe, akugomeza kuti madotolo ambiri amene akugwira ntchito mu zipatala zaboma akugwira ntchito yaulere, ndipo ali ndi chiyembekezo chakuti tsiku lina adzalembedwa ntchito ndi boma.
Zochitika pa nthawi ya 6 koloko kufikira 7 koloko madzulo. Lolemba mpaka lachisanu ndi madapiri.
Move into a world of African music. This is Channel Africa.
We ain't even got a track on it. I got many blessings, I could brag on it. I've been through the fire, I could talk on it. And I heard it on the street that they got love for me.
Oh, show Baba. Now Baba go they make me turn my swag on. Them they glad to me anytime when the song's on. Them they see the light they shining, them they run come.
Now you see, say we there on the city. I don't think that any one of you can step to titty. I just wanna sing the song. Break it down, oh yeah, shake it to the gong, yeah.
Baba God don't bless us. Now why we they talk this matter, eh? Some people want to pull me down, I still they walk, eh?
No be say them say, no they do like say you know no. No be say them say, my brother.
Oh yeah, Joe for me, I do bear for now. And but it's okay, I do bear for now. Oh yeah, go mole, I do bear for now. Jack and Jones okay.
Brother, if I start to talk, the thing where I don't take my eyes, see we no going. My brother, we no going. If I start to count, the thing where my back on it don't do, we no going. My sister, we no going. If I start to talk, the thing where my back on it don't do, we no going.
My sister,
we no going. If I start to count all the blessings my back on they give me, we no going. My brother, I no going. Oh yeah, throw your hands up in the air for me. If you feel it, sing along, sing the song for me. You can pop anything, lift the bill for me. When the sun comes on, know your job for me.
No follow them, they complain. Make you no forget, say Baba God day. Every day is a good day. Holiday from Monday to Sunday.
Oh yeah, kumole, oh yeah, it's okay. Oh yeah, pate, what show them problem no day. See my life today, blessings every day. And they shine so bright.
It they make them they wonder why we they so composed. Anything we do, we they in control. Anywhere we go, then they won't follow. And anything we touch, we they turn to gold. Oh yeah, Joe for me, I do bear for now. And go it's okay, I do bear for now. Oh yeah, go mole, I do bear for now. Jack and Jones okay.
Brother, if I start to talk, the thing where I don't take my eyes, see we no going. My brother, we no going. If I start to count, the thing where my back on it don't do, we no going. My sister, we no going. If I start to talk, the thing where my back on it don't do, we no going.
My sister, we no going.
If I start to count all the blessings
11 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African time. If I start to talk, Tiwa Savage featuring Dr. Sid on that one. Welcome to the Monday edition. Where have you been, actually? We've had fantastic conversations so far. We started off by affirming and confirming that when you are an employee and you start looking for a job elsewhere while you are employed, there is nothing wrong with that. Legally, you are more than welcome to do so. If your employer starts side-eyeing you for doing that very thing, if they start to side-eye you for that very thing, hey, then please, I'm not saying take them to court immediately, but just refer them to your common law rights that, hey, I am allowed to search while I'm employed. Then we also talked about how the commercial property rental market is improving. More tenants are paying their rent on time. They're in good standing, indicating that they are committing to their lease agreements, which is a good sign overall, even despite the economic challenges that we are experiencing. But more conversations coming up on the upside. It's 10 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African time.
Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter? Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard? Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126 and we will call you back so you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So that's who I am, you know.
It's not just talk. It's your chance to air your views. Share your opinion. Engage with the community that values your perspective. Follow us on our social media. Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za and get ready to share your views on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
9 minutes to go till it is 3 p.m. in Central African time. That means we're fast approaching the final hour of the show. SABC2, where you belong. It's where you belong. That tagline actually has been with the SABC team and SABC2 in particular for quite a long time. But listen, we were privileged enough to attend the launch of this new era for SABC2. And with 7 days to go from today, we're counting down 7 days to go for this new era in SABC2, a full week to go. And listen, we are so excited that SABC2 is now launching, has launched their new lineup and are excited to share that new lineup with you. So wherever you are on the African region and you want a little taste of what happens on South African television, download the SABC Plus app so that you can catch the new lineup. So we're building momentum. We're very excited. Okay, what's your favorite show? Mine is definitely the King David podcast. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Pimville. The new show with Gail Mabalane is one of the actresses and the lead actress in that particular show. I heard a lot of, when we were at the launch, Dichaba Palatse, who's part of the marketing team, and others were raving about this kiddies podcast and it sounds like a wonderful forum actually for young people. So I know that there's a lot of hype around that. Penny Libyane has a brand new show on there that she's co-hosting, a brand new talk show. So there's actually something for everyone, which is wonderful.
Love to see it. 9th of February is when it's launching, and we can't wait to see the new programming. There was a shift in times for the Deal or No Deal South Africa. That's changed in times. We'll share more about that. But looking forward to the new lineup, looking forward to what SABC2 is trying to do right now, which is to reconnect families again, where we are able to sit around in the living room together as a family, not each one by their own room watching their own thing, but we can come together back in the Dragon Ball Z days when we all came together, back in the Stockfell days. And
one family,
SABC2,
one device.
One device, yeah. Back in those days, we came together in the living room to watch our favorite shows on SABC2. So get ready for a new era on SABC2.
Keep Africa in your hands. Connect to our our website for all your news, sports, and cultural updates. channelafrica.co.za. No interruptions, just the music you love on Channel Africa.
Eternal Africa. Greatness. DJ Natil.
Fonya kitleti muke, omukele bara dadite. Uskili magutsi, uskili. Fonya kitleti muke, omukele bara dadite. Uskili magutsi, uskili. Skanju the one around you. Do unyaga changu. Do nalema bantu. Force lo luka maramku. Tashoni langa. Kasta sera ikuzwa. Outside la litoga ituba. Isi la fuga.
Ngoto bafe. No magetse koma lobe. Body on che. Ataro no ma ide pepe dema. Don't eat do ma do. Kasingo be. Apato pepe pepe wa ma she. I don't wanna hear shit. I don't wanna hear say you did with the mama. The way your body do it. I know like that because you even know now, man. I don't wanna hear shit. I don't wanna hear say you did with the mama. The way your body do it. I know I don't wanna see you with nobody. Don't wanna see with nobody.
DJ Natil.
Fonya kitleti muke. Fonya kitleti muke.
DJ Natil.
Fonya kitleti muke. Fonya kitleti muke. Baby, this your body, no be yeah. I tell you, say you fine, you know they care. Me, I know me done it. I see you with the soji. Anyway, me, I know go get. Not only you, I be one tight sweat. So don't waste time, baby, my rose. Ooh yeah, cause it be you I want. It be you I they want. Oh, I go prove my love. I go risk it all. Oh, I don't wanna hear it.
I don't wanna hear say you did with the mama.
The way your body rotate.
I know like that because you even know now, man.
I don't wanna hear it.
I don't wanna hear say you did with the mama.
The way your body rotate.
I know I don't wanna see you with nobody. Don't wanna see with nobody.
DJ Natil.
Is this DJ Neptune?
DJ Neptune.
Yes, Nobody, the title of the song coming to you. And I don't know, listen, you know the thing about Amapiano, I know very little about Amapiano, but at least I know just a bite size, that it comes, there's like tiers to it. There's like a jazzy kind of tier, then there's a groove, I don't know. So where does this one fall? What's this one called? Amapiano slash what?
I don't know where you would categorize this one. It's not really a jive. Is it a jivey, groovy?
How
did you feel when you listened to it? Did you feel like you needed to get up
It just sounded like there needs to be bottles of something that people over 18 need to be drinking.
Adult Amapiano.
Grown up Amapiano.
Grown up Amapiano.
18 plus.
18 plus Amapiano. I love that one.
Oh, man.
DJ Neptune featuring Joe Boy there. Nobody. I saw a very disturbing thing on X, okay? There's a young lady who took a selfie with a snow leopard in a Chinese ski resort. She took a selfie with a snow leopard. She's like, ting, ting, ting. And she managed to get the selfie. But then the snow leopard attacked her. And I think she'll be fine, right? She got taken to hospital and everything like that. But guys, I want to just throw caution to the wind. When you are in the presence of wildlife, I know you want to take selfies, but don't do it so close. Be in a safe distance. If you're in a game ranger vehicle, a game viewer, that's fine. But don't go to the ground and now want to take a selfie like you want to, fist bump the animal. Don't do that. They are wild animals. There's not a wild cat. There's not a cat like a cat. Oh, kitty. This is a wild animal. Of course they're going to attack you. They're not familiar with human beings. Guys, please stop it for your own safety. Stop this thing for content.
You know what really concerns me is the fact that you have to say these things in the first place, because clearly common sense is not, that's not necessarily a common thing. It's clearly a very special thing.
She did get the
fact that you have to tell people to actually not be too close to the animal. I mean, we had quite a close one with an animal one time.
Fair
but
enough.
Anyway.
She got the picture. Let's get the latest news. It's 3 p.m.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Looking at your top stories, Guinea-Bissau junta releases opposition leader and vows inclusive government, and Pakistan launches its first polio nationwide campaign. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. The junta that seized power in Guinea-Bissau in November last year has vowed to bring the African Party for the Independence of Guinea and Cape Verde into government. The PAIGC has also released its leader, former Prime Minister Domingos Simões Pereira, who has been under house arrest since the coup last year. Army officers in Guinea-Bissau, branding themselves the Military High Command, toppled President Umaro Sissoco Embalo on the 26th of November and installed Major General Horta Inta'a as interim president the following day. The moves are an apparent attempt to appease the West African Regional Bloc ECOWAS, which has suspended Guinea-Bissau and demanded a quick transition to civilian rule. Last month, a presidential decree scheduled new president and legislative elections for the 6th of December. South Africa's Parliament's legal advisor, Andile Dejana, says the National Assembly Speaker Togo Didiza is urging caution in how Parliament handles the appearance of Brown Mokgotsi before the ad hoc committee that's probing allegations of criminal infiltration, corruption and political interference in the country's criminal justice system. Dejana says the Speaker is citing serious security concerns, adding that Mokgotsi's allegations of an attempt on his life as well as against senior police figures means his safety cannot be taken lightly and that Parliament must be seen to act reasonably.
Have Brown Mokgotsi, who we have now scheduled to consult with on Wednesday after earlier also raised issues both about not having legal representation and also some security concerns. So we have agreed to consult with him virtually on Wednesday, and he will discuss further his in-person attendance with Fonani, who will no doubt communicate with you, Honourable Chair, about an in-person appearance and to make sure that he's comfortable.
A South African woman from George in the Western Cape province, whose daughter is imprisoned in Thailand, has started a campaign to assist South Africans and others who fell victims to a job scam in that country. They were trafficked from Thailand to Myanmar and escaped following police and military raids on the compounds they worked at. Lynette Blechnot moved to Thailand to be closer to her daughter Ashley Oosthuizen, who was imprisoned on drug charges in 2020. She is currently assisting 10 people, including 4 South Africans.
They all come from poor backgrounds. Their only crime was to hope for a better opportunity to provide for their families. Many survivors were initially helped by NGOs, but I've been informed that those funds have now run out. The reason why some remain stranded and why I decided to finally launch a Back a Buddy campaign called Let's Bring Them Home. Right now, at least 10 people urgently need funding for flight tickets to return home safely.
Pakistan has launched its first nationwide campaign of the year to vaccinate more than 45 million children against polio. For the next week, health workers will be doing door-to-door to inoculate children on the provinces of Sindh, Punjab and Balochistan in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The BBC's Anbarasan Etirajan reports.
Polio is a highly infectious virus which invades the nervous system and can cause total paralysis. It mainly affects children under 5. Pakistan has been making a sustained vaccination drive, recording 31 polio cases last year compared with 74 a year earlier. Thousands of police officers will provide security to the health workers. They have previously been attacked by militants who falsely claim the vaccination program is a Western conspiracy to sterilize Muslims.
And lastly, the Grammy Awards ceremony has been marked by musicians hitting back at Donald Trump's anti-immigration crackdown. The Puerto Rican rapper Bad Bunny, who has won the event's most prestigious awards, Album of the Year, told the audience that he is going to say "Ice Out, we are not savages." Billie Eilish lended Song of the Year award to Wildflowers. With more from the ceremony, the BBC's David Willis reports.
26-year-old Olivia Dean performed her joyful and soulful hit Man I Need on the Grammys stage and was swiftly called back there to accept the coveted award for Best New Artist of the Year. Bad Bunny, the Puerto Rican rapper who sings in Spanish and is the most streamed artist in the world, won several Grammys, including the top prize, Album of the Year, a first for a Spanish-language album. Billie Eilish won Song of the Year for Wildflower, and Kendrick Lamar won 5 Grammys, including Best Rap Album, making him the most decorated rapper in Grammys history.
Now, recapping on your top stories, the junta that seized power in Guinea-Bissau in a coup in November last year has vowed to bring the African Party for the Independence of Guinea and Cape Verde into government. The PAIGC has also released its leader, the former Prime Minister Domingos Simões Pereira, who has been under house arrest since the coup last year. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Tsinsi.
SABC News. The African Perspective. Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. Time to stay informed, inspired, and connected to the ideas driving Africa forward. The Upside on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Hey, it's the final hour of The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, The African Perspective, with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and Mmatsheko Mosito. Can you believe it's the final hour already? You can still stream us live on social media at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. Do yourself a favor, download our Channel Africa app so you can take us with you wherever you go on your Android or your iOS device. Mmatsheko Mosito, what's coming up in this hour?
We are shining a spotlight on Thabang Nisi, who is steadily rising as a powerhouse in South African media and gospel music, interestingly enough. So we're going to track the work, across the African region and have a conversation with him, because he launched the Legacy Awards, which is a project that actually helped raise the profile of gospel musicians on a national scale. So we're going to talk to him about that. Yeah,
absolutely. And listen, you've heard of Lekker Slap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lekker Slap or Slap. It's not even lekker, it's Lekker Slap, a place where you can book accommodation, works similar to Airbnb and Booking.com. Well, now there's one called Lekker Labors. Lekker Labors. It's going to be a bridge a bridge between employers and talent. It's similar to LinkedIn, where you can find opportunities for work, but now employees can see opportunities from vetted employers. So now you're not just applying to just about anywhere.
Yeah.
So just because you saw a post on Facebook. Now it's a verified, vetted employer that you are applying to. So we'll be having that conversation in the second half of the hour. All right, it's 10 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Thank you for staying tuned to The Upside.
The Midnight Snack, 12 to 3 a.m.
Muranziwa wa mina. Muranziwa means my love in Xitsonga. So if you're listening to this, just know that you are my love. Yes. You and I are an item. We are dating. We are together. So I love you, baby. Why are you blushing? Why are you blushing? Like, haven't you heard somebody confessing their love to you? I mean, you gotta get used to it now, because I'm gonna tell you this every day, that I love you. I can tell you, there are so many people who are never told they are loved. I come to the studio every Monday, 12 to 3, because I've got an appointment with you. I take you serious. Forget about the other person, right? Moranziwa.
The Midnight Snack, every Monday, 12 to 3 a.m. with Chanduko Ligege. Midday vibes, great programming, and good company. This is Channel Africa.
C'est pas y masser, c'est pas y causer, so tu use on me. Ça fait ouais des côtés qui m'ont gagné, qui m'ont yé mon vivre. Les autres connaissent, saute l'orgueil bat fort. Ça fait ouais des qui m'ont yé, qui m'ont fait, qui m'ont yé mon arrive là. Les autres connaissent, saute l'orgueil bat fort. Saute l'orgueil. Saute l'orgueil, oh l'orgueil, saute l'orgueil back for, oh saute l'orgueil, saute l'orgueil, saute l'orgueil back for. Y'en a qui t'y pourrit, si des victimes en Goliath, avec sa stone, ben mon moins worry, mon papa give up. Jusqu'à l'air m'arrive home. Jusqu'à l'air m'arrive home. Non, mon papa capable de saute Zalou. Zalou n'a pas guérison ni finition Zalou. Zalou y'a pas fait ou coulou comme un Zalou. Zalou y'a fait ou mettre la corde de tous les coups. Hey, relax ou les commandes. Espère ou tout man. Après moi pendant ou tout man. Six c'est la même dans Zalou tout man. Espère ou tout man. Six c'est dans Zalou tout man. Demain y'a l'autre sous. C'est pas ne plus ramper. C'est pas y masser. C'est pas y poser. So three use on me. Ça fait ouais des côtés qui m'ont gagné. Qui m'ont yé mon vivre. Les autres connaissent. Saute l'orgueil bat fort. Ça fait ouais des qui m'ont yé, qui m'ont fait. Qui m'ont yé mon arrive là. Les autres connaissent. Saute l'orgueil bat fort. Saute l'orgueil, saute l'orgueil, oh l'orgueil, saute l'orgueil bat fort. Oh, saute l'orgueil, saute l'orgueil, saute l'orgueil bat fort. Hey, bataille y'a mon lait de wapé curse-moi. Devant mon bon Dieu y'a fait blesse-moi. Mon compte mon blessing. Mon papa vit faire ses années. Lola tante qui n'a pas respect. Mon levé, mon pialé. Non, mon papa est resté. Non, mon papa est resté. Oh, saute l'orgueil, saute l'orgueil, oh l'orgueil, saute
our technical producer is laughing at my pronunciation of Esperanto. Listen, all I know is that this music is inspiring me to book a flight to the Seychelles, where this music comes from. So Elijah coming through as part of our playlist as we move through conversation with some wonderful music.
Listen, South African media professional Thabang Mnisi has built a career rooted in consistency, credibility, and long-term impact. From music promotion and public relations to television production and media leadership, his journey spans more than 2 decades across the performing arts and broadcast spaces. Through his company Mnisitainment and initiatives like the Legacy Awards, Lesotho Awards, Thabang has helped elevate artists, shape platforms, and strengthen recognition within gospel and broader cultural industries, locally and internationally. He now joins us on the line. Thabang, thank you so much for your time. I should actually confirm, is it Thabang or is it Dr. Thabang?
It's Dr. Thabang.
Dr. Thabang, medical doctor?
No, just a doctorate in media.
Oh, in media, amazing.
And prison.
Oh, amazing. I wanted to confirm. And just make sure that I introduce you properly, Dr. Thabang. And also, I think my first important question to you, Dr. Thabang, is: are you a Fabiani ambassador? Because everywhere I see you, you're wearing Fabiani. Which one is this one?
Oh my Oh, what a question! I just have the friend, like when somebody loves Gucci, quite so. This is quite a friend too for me. I guess, is this much better?
That's much better. I think we're connected with you much better. We're much more clearer. Thank you so much for that.
Wow, very interesting. Yeah, we actually really enjoy your musings, and we're just looking at your Instagram, and you're really just such a big, wonderful character. But let's talk about your journey, and how it began through township development program that was aimed at producing young actors. How did that unfold? And what do you remember most about the early time in that experience?
When I was still in primary, I used to write in my diary that one day I'll be the first person to be on TV in my family and my surroundings. And I just fell in love with TV so much, and especially also with acting and arts. Actually, let me just say arts. I was so much in love with arts at the early age, and it's something that I pursued at the early age. So then that's when, the more I grow, I'll go to those sketches. I'll study drama. One of the things that I used to do on Saturdays in Newtown, Lapa Image Theatre. And those days we used to go Saturdays at 1 to go into drama, and theatre when I was now in high school. So, obviously in primary, I won't say much because of you're still young and you forget about these things until it comes back and catch up with you later. And then you move to another place, another township, Orange from Soweto. Then that's when I met people who were doing drama. Then I joined them. Then that's when I'm recruiting people, giving them the opportunity. Let's just do drama. Let's just do sketches. In those days, we used to call it sketch. You remember? A sketch in Tina. Yeah, well, actually, there's quite a lot of names. Yeah. So from there, then that's when I started to associate myself with quite a lot of prominent people, and now the love grows. Consistently, the more you do something, the more it grows in you, the more you also grow in it, and the more passion, the more opportunities opens, the more consistency you become, and the more platforms you get, and the more you advance. So that's how it all began. That's when now I begin now to launch into TV, doing extras. I'm revealing my years. What are those years? It is time. What stories? Bosimunye, I was doing most of extras, attending agencies. We used to have agencies those days, man. Oh, you know those agencies, they get to social media influencers, come get that gig. Those days were tough. You was going through an agency. And now when you go and you audition and you were paid almost 50 rand just for an extra over generations and all that. Yeah. So from there, and I engaged myself and associated with a lot of celebrities that we know today, quite a lot of them. Then I started to advance and grow and says, what else that can I do? In the space of art. Then that's when I transitioned to gospel music. At that time, gospel music, it didn't have much. It was more of, remember those days, ne? It wasn't like today. Today, artists are independent. In those days, you needed the record label to make it big. To be your Rebecca Malope, to be your Vuyo Mkwena, to be your Sipho Makabani. You had to sign under a record label, your Gallo, your Universal. You couldn't do it on your own, to be your Spiso Ncwane. So then at that time, gospel artists did not know anything because they were solely depending on record labels to promote them, to take them on TV. They had no connection or network with compilers, producers. So that's when I started to come in with a PR company. At that time, we used to call ourselves promoters. Now I Neripta about the PR, yeah. But in those days, Neripta is a gospel music promoter. Then that's when I began to open doors and knock doors, and now starting to work with Swiss money when they break out from their record labels. Now artists begins to be independent, and the more they become independent, the more they come to me because of social media. Facebook before it catches the momentum, then you just promote your work. Hey, do you want to be on SAPC? Do you want to be on this radio? Come. And now at that time I'm with Fisongwane, and now Kulungile Baba is doing well. We are big now. We are reaching out for Nabo Zahara. We are competing Nabo Zahara in those days at their prime time. Then that's how actually I grew up, and I did a lot of doors. Sorry about that. So yeah, actually I could narrate. I have so much. When I'm trying to summarize everything in such a short period of time.
Listen, and it's good to reflect, because there are a lot of young people who look at where people like you are right now. Like, I want to be a Dr. Thabang Mnisi, but they don't know what went into getting to where you are right now. So explaining this journey and summarizing it, where it all began and where you are now, is very important. It's 22 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's take a quick breather. We'll continue our conversation with Dr. Thabang Mnisi right after this.
Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Whatever you want to hear about today's talk, you can get it on the upside.
Still in conversation with Dr. Thabang Mnisi, a man who has helped elevate artists, shape platforms, and strengthen recognition within gospel and broader cultural industries, locally and internationally. Dr. Thabang, it's one thing for someone to aspire to be an entertainer themselves. I want to just perform. I want to be on stage. I want to be in front of the camera. But you've taken it a step further. You said, no, I want to also represent people who are in this industry. I want to put them on platforms that, otherwise would have made them have to pay hundreds and hundreds of thousands of rands just to be able to get on those platforms. What was the gap that you saw in the market that made the work that you are doing even now, from the PR company to what you're doing now, made it seem like this is the right way to go about it? What gap did you see that made your offering so valuable?
The gap that I saw, remember, coming from a township and growing from an impoverished community, as you know, let's just be honest and be real and not denying the fact that there's reality of a black person that not all of us we get same opportunities.
Yeah.
And some they get opportunities because they are financially stable. They have the money, they can able to afford some platforms to get in based on the trade exchange. And some they don't have. Especially now, gospel artists started to be independent, and when they're independent, they have to use their money because of with record labels they will pay everything and get paid them, and they find themselves as stars. But now, when you're independent, you have to pay your own studio time, your own session, your own backup vocalist. Now you have to do things with your own money. And now, at some point, this is a passion, this is a gift. This is what you love to do. Feels like this is a calling. I want to see myself bigger than greater than Dr. Rebecca at the time. But now I have to do it on my own. So that's when I realized that no man, you know what? Let me find a way that how can I able to help those who can afford, those who don't have money to find themselves in those big platforms and mediums. And now that's when I saw the gap and says, let me assist them with the little that they have, or even if they don't have. Also, at that time when you're passionate, and sometimes you don't even think about money. You think about the opportunity. Let me prove myself that I can do this. I'm passionate. Money will follow. Money will after, but let me just deliver. Then that's when it grew. Then your magazines, I began to knock doors. In those days, we used to have Afro Cafe. Yes, Afro Cafe. And now I'll go there, Afro Cafe, knock doors, man. Don't you want to feature a gospel artist? That's when they says, yeah, man. And that time I had Sfiso Ncwane, in my radar. And then that's when we break through the Sfiso Ncwane. Now the more people they see that you're able to crack or break through big platforms, there they begin to have trust in you and says, man, this man can deliver. Then that's when I a lot of big names like your Olebus Khobela and all those big names that we have today. So for me, the gap was with the little that we have or with what you don't have. Let me use my ability and the strength and see and find a way how can we able to place you there so that you can also reach your goal and see yourself on TV. Most of artists today, I can tell you, my brother, I get a lot of artists who says, yo, man, today I've never been on TV. I'm on TV because of you. And probably this will be the last time, So many people that definitely. That's when I also have to migrate to TV production. I said, okay, you know what? Let me not just do PR, but also let me get in and produce TV. Let me find a way. How can I become part of a production where we create a gospel show or a show that it can be I can easily access without somebody, but I'm the producer and I can able to call artists to come in. Hey, come promote yourself. This is the platform. Come showcase your talent, your gift. That's when then I started into the TV space and production, and I learned it on the field, without learning it on the book, but I learned it on the field because of the thing about me is that I don't wait for opportunity. I create them, man. I create. You can't
Dr.
say no to me. I'll make sure that I'll bother you until I get it.
Dr. Taba. Kwadla.
Yes.
I can hear you've got stories for days, and also you're very passionate about bringing people on this journey with you. You don't want to work on your own, and I think perhaps that's testament to where you are today, and also just the work that you're doing through Nisitainment, which actually has launched the Legacy Awards. We don't have a lot of time, so just tell us about that. Talk to us about the Legacy Awards, what they're about, and what problem were you trying to solve in the space of gospel music through this ceremony?
Yeah, the only awards we had at the time, there was summers that will recognize only a certain category.
Yeah.
And also that's when also the crowd was starting to emerge. Then what I saw the need was, let me honor gospel artists who has worked so hard, like Abo Lundi. I started in Abo Lundi, Abo Lebuskobela, Abo Sipho Makhabane, Hlengwe Mhlaba. With Legacy Award, what we do is that some probably never even got nominated to the crowd. But let's honor and acknowledge them with the contribution and the efforts that they have made in the industry. So what I'll do, I'll go to a certain province. Let's say I go to Eastern Cape. Then I gather all the big names in that province. Eastern Cape, let's say there's Velisoscape, there's Kolega, there's Ludi Tamara, and then I organize an event where we honor them and give them accolades to say thank you so much, for the contribution, the sacrifices you made to bring such a music to our lives. So basically, that's why the gospel legacy was all about, which most of gospel artists that I've covered within the province, Durban, Gauteng, Vaal, even in Eastern Cape. So that's how I used to. That's when then now I started the Independent National Gospel Music Awards, known as the Ingomas. Now with the Ingomas was more of focusing on independent gospel artists who never get a chance to be on the biggest platforms, which even today, if I can trace record, most of them, they found themselves within 20 years later, 20 years later, still in the industry. I've never seen them with their names on Gumasamas or Metros, or the Crowns. But the platform that I've created, that's where they found themselves a home to be recognized, their names to be called and to get those accolades.
Yeah. Dr. Thabang, it's been an honor chatting with you. We love hearing your stories.
What a hangout.
Proper hangout. We need a proper podcast situation and a setup and chat with him the whole day. For those who'd like to check out his work and maybe get in touch with him, his Instagram handle is gospel_mogul. Dr. Thabang Mnisi on the line talking to us about how he's contributing to this entertainment space, especially in the gospel industry. 31 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Musibudi Makura is standing by with the latest sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you so much, Tebogo. A very good afternoon from the Sports Desk. So South Africa's Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, has dismissed reports suggesting that the country has been confirmed as a new host nation for the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations tournament. So according to a statement issued earlier today, the minister stated that no formal decision has been taken to replace Morocco. McKenzie reaffirmed that Morocco remains the official host nation for the tournament, which is scheduled to get underway on the 17th of March. The minister was responding to comments credited to the Deputy Minister of Sports, Peace Mabe, who had claimed that South Africa had taken over the hosting rights after Morocco allegedly withdrew from the competition, with just 5 weeks to the start of the competition. So Mabe had said Morocco pulled out of hosting the continental competition and that South Africa was ready to step in. However, McKenzie clarified that South Africa has merely expressed readiness to assist the Confederation of African Football if the need arises. So, speaking to SABC Sport on Sunday at the Hollywood Bets Super League Awards, this is what the Deputy Minister, Peace Mabe, had to say about South Africa stepping in to host the WAFCON.
When Morocco said we're not able to host South Africa, we said yes, we are available. We're going to take it. Look, it cannot be debatable because we've just recently hosted a successful G20 where heads of states of different countries were here. So it tells you that in terms of hospitality, we are as well ready. We have the necessary infrastructure as well when it comes to stadiums. We've hosted the World Cup, the Soccer World Cup before, so we are ready. We can host.
Well, South Africa's T20 captain Aiden Markram has urged his team to not overthink things as they head to the World Cup in India as well as Sri Lanka. Now, with the hopes of finally lifting an ICC limited overs trophy, South Africa jetted off to India on Sunday to finalise preparations before the first match of the tournament against Canada a week from today. The Proteas reached the final of the last T20 World Cup in Barbados, but then lost to India in the final, and the skipper says they must play what's in front of them and forget about the past.
You don't want to, yes, it is a World Cup, but you don't want to blow it too much out of proportion. You've got a job at hand to do on a cricket field, and if you can get yourself in that frame of mind to do that job well, then I think we give ourselves a good chance. So we'll see what is waiting for us that side from a conditions point of view. Obviously that's going to be a lot of the chat now and come up with the plans from there.
Tennis news now. Belinda Bencic as well as Elina Svitolina have made history by becoming the first mothers to be simultaneously ranked inside the top 10 women's players. Bencic, 28 years of age, gave birth to her daughter Bella in April of 2024, and the Swiss player has moved up one place to 9th position in the latest WTA World Rankings following an 11th-month maternity break. Svitolina, meanwhile, whose daughter Sky was born in October of 2022, has moved up 2 places to 10th position as a result of the Ukrainian reaching the semi-finals of the Australian Open just last month. So new mothers returning to the tour are able to use their previous ranking to enter 12 tournaments over a 3-year period from the day the child is born. Meanwhile, in the men's ATP rankings, Novak Djokovic replaces Alexander Zverev at the number 3rd position following the Serbian's appearance in the final in Melbourne. Djokovic, 38 years of age, was aiming to win a standalone record 25th Grand Slam title on Sunday, but was beaten in 4 sets by Carlos Alcaraz. The Spaniard, meanwhile, stays at number 1 after becoming the youngest man to complete a career Grand Slam at the age of 22 with his 7th major title. The German Zverev, who was defeated by Alcaraz in the last 4, drops to 4th position, while Italian Yannick Sinner remains in 2nd after his semi-final loss to Novak Djokovic. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, do remember to send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. I'm back with the final sports update for the afternoon with the Africa in Business team in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628. Channel Africa is moving with the times, and so is our WhatsApp line. We've changed our WhatsApp number, making it even easier for you to stay connected. Send us your voice notes, comments, shout outs, and song requests to our new WhatsApp number, +27 83 288 6684. That's +27 83 288 6684. Save it, share it, and stay in the conversation. Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
37 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Matapelo Mahape is standing by with the latest in business news.
Business news on Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo, and good afternoon. The subsidiaries of the Dangote Group announced strengthened gas supply contracts with NNPC units to support their expansion plans, reflecting Nigeria's commitment to cleaner energy and industrial growth. The contracts are signed with Nigerian Gas Marketing Limited and NNPC Gas Infrastructure Company were part of the Nigeria Gas Master Plan 2026 launched to enhance the gas sector's infrastructure and supply. The plan aims to increase national gas output to 10 billion cubic feet per day by 2027 and 12 billion by 2030, seeking over $60 billion in investment. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Ekperibe Ekpo emphasized the need to convert gas reserves into reliable supply, while NNPC Limited CEO Bashir Bayo Ojulari highlighted the goal of boosting production and attracting investment. And South African discount retailer Pepco Holdings reported a 12.9% rise in first quarter revenue to $1.9 billion, driven by acquisitions and growth in its core clothing brand Pep, alongside demand for tech products. Group sales increased by 10.6% in the festive season trading quarter ended December 31 compared to the same period in 2024, with a 5.2% rise when excluding acquisitions. Like-for-like sales rose by 3%. The clothing and general merchandise segment saw a 10.3% sales increase, while furniture, appliances and electronics grew by 13.7%. The financial service business experienced a remarkable 47.6% revenue increase, attributed to high demand for insurance and retail credit. And the South African manufacturing sector appears to have started the year on a more positive note. The ABSA Purchasing Managers Index PMI for January of 2026 rose 8.2 notches to 48.7 index points, with most of its subdivisions showing an improvement. ABSA says while the headline number remains below 50 index points, which is still in contraction territory, the latest uplift in the number is indicative of a stronger domestic demand, which could spur continued upward production momentum going forward. Notando Makudulela reports.
Business activity, which speaks to actual manufacturing, rose by 5.3 points to 51.4, while new sales orders also rose, driven by domestic demand, achieving 45.4 points, up 10 notches on the previous month. The employment index also rose by 4 points, while cost pressures were described as muted, with the purchasing price index up 2.1 points at 52.1.
And a collapse in the price of precious metals had spilled into Asian markets in Monday's trading. The price of gold tumbled as much as 9%. Silver has seen even greater percentage falls. Prices had hit record highs earlier this month after central banks added more billion to their reserves and investors put money into safe haven assets due to financial and geopolitical uncertainties. Markets had also been worried about the independence of the U.S. Federal Reserve. The BBC's Nick Marsh reports.
The price of gold has continued to fall in Asia trading this morning. Same goes for silver as well. The silver's kind of gone up a bit, then it's gone down a bit, but the general trend is gold and silver have continued to go down. The bulk, though, of the action was actually on Friday when there was some really big drops, about 10% in the price of gold. That was linked to a couple of things. President Trump confirming that he's appointing someone called Kevin Warsh as the new chair of America's central bank, the Federal Reserve.
And German authorities have arrested 5 people suspected of exporting goods worth tens of millions of dollars to Russian arms companies under a European Union embargo. They are detained in the northern city of Limburg. The BBC's Rory Gallimore reports.
EU leaders have often spoken about the need to make Russia pay for launching its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Embargoes are a key part of those efforts. According to German prosecutors, these suspects have breached those measures for years. They're alleged to have sent 16,000 deliveries to Russia since the invasion began, with many of the recipients being arms firms. In total, the exports are thought to have been worth at least $35 million. All 5 suspects are German citizens, although some are dual Russian or Ukrainian nationals.
Look at your financial indicators. One US dollar in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 386. In Botswana, it's 12.99. In Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 45. And in Zambia, it's 19 kwacha 70. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 25. For Russia, it's 75 rubles 95. India, it's 91 rupees 61. While in China, it's 6 yuan 95. And in South Africa, $1 is trading at 16 rand 7 cents. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 84 to the euro. A look at your commodities. Gold is trading at $4,802 and platinum at $2,126 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is at $66.26 a barrel. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business News, I am Matapela Mahape.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel Africa. Adivinha só, a Channel Africa quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel Africa está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. músicos. Lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music@channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Mosito and Tebogo Lekhuleni on the upside.
44 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Hey, it's the final stretch of the upside this afternoon. And hey, we're going to get into a very important conversation. Because how often have you found yourself in a position where you're about to employ someone, but you don't know if the person I'm employing, they're in good standing, the cops are not after them, they are who they say they are, they have proper documentation. Well, we have got a platform called Lekker Laborers and ZA. And they are the bridge between employers, laborers, and ensuring that you as a household, you as a business, are employing laborers that are fully verified and vetted. And I think that's a brilliant idea.
Laborers that are lekker.
They're lekker.
That is correct, my friend. Okay. So let's talk about it. Let's unpack lekker laborers and look at, the problems that they're trying to solve. Because I agree with you. And we were actually remarking off air about the fact that we live in such dangerous, if I could use that term, times that we actually really need to vet people. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like this previously, but I think with the world stepping into full-on spaces that are very digital, you don't even know if you're speaking to a real person or not. Yeah. So verification, very important. So through a formal company structure, Lekker Laborers, as we understand it, works to reduce exploitation by matching the right skills to the right jobs. We have on the line, joining us, Washington Junior Matlaka, who is co-founder of Lekker Laborers. I love that name, Washington. Tell us more about how Lekker Laborers was established.
Good day. Thank you for having me here today. Am I audible?
Yes, you are indeed.
All right. Thank you. For us to start Lekker Laborers, where I stay, usually we have to, if you just drive up the road, you don't even have to drive far. You'll see a lot of ladies and gentlemen holding signs saying cleaner, repairman, moving man, gardener. They're just holding these signs. And one day, a couple of friends and I were passing. We just asked ourselves, how often does somebody actually stop and ask these people, or hire these people, or how often do these people actually get jobs in the current state the country's in now?
Yeah.
So we decided to come up with the idea of saying, you know what? A lot of people probably would not want to take the time to have to vet and check if this laborer should be trusted or not.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, we decided to undertake that responsibility on ourselves, saying, you know what, we'll vet these people, and then the laborers can also have a platform where they can put these services under us, and then they won't have to focus on marketing themselves. They can now focus on hoping that, the clients can come through and ensuring that their crafts and skills are actually good.
Washington, where is this platform? Is this an app? Is this on a website? How does it actually get applied?
Thank you for asking. Currently, the website is down for maintenance. However, it's usually a website. Right now, we are just running the platform ourselves. We get a call, and then we onboard the laborer, as well as we get a call from the client, and then the client will let the client know that, okay, we have a laborer on our system who does this and does that. They rated this much. We've seen their work. They stay. We also have the documents, whatnot, should you want to see those as well. And then we just connect them manually currently.
Please talk to us about how the vetting and onboarding process works. because at the end of the day, we do want to ensure that the workers that are placed, as you'd mentioned, are skilled and reliable, but also safe.
Yes. So the vetting works in that first we like to have referrals. We like to be referred by someone who who you've done some work with. Therefore, we can see your work and we can have a testimonial that tells us how well you work and if you're punctual, if you're professional, and all those things. It makes our job easier when you have a referral. And then we also take in your documents, your IDs, your proof of residence, all those things, your work visas if you don't have. And if you don't have a work visa, we also try to assist you in certain ways. Maybe we can assist you in the application of one and find a way how to meet in the middle.
A platform that connects businesses and households with vetted, verified laborers. Washington, where can we get contact details? You said that the website is down at the moment, but how else can we reach you? Should we need more information, or should laborers want to get their names and databases or part of your database? And should employers obviously be looking to verify their people?
All right. Currently, we do have our email is still running at lekhuleni@gmail.com. Our WhatsApp business number is also up and running, and you can get it at 064-522-3578. I can repeat that at 064-522-3578. We also have a TikTok account, an Instagram account, a Facebook account, and all those are functioning. And you can reach us from any one of those platforms.
Amazing. Lekker Laborers, ZA. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Washington Junior Matlakala is the co-founder. Check them out on social media platforms. And again, a platform that connects businesses and households to verified and vetted laborers. It's 9 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Ukatili wa kijinsia unaharibu maisha na kutenga jamii. Hutokea nyumbani, shuleni, kazini na mara nyingi kwa ukimya. Lakini hauwezi kuendelea. Ukiona, ongea. Ikiwa unaumia, funguka, kwa sababu kutofanya lolote sio chaguo. Sikiliza vituo vyote 19 vya redio kuanzia Jumatano ya tarehe 23 Julai kwenye mijadala, ushauri, tamthilia, maonyesho ya elimu na mahojiano na wataalamu, manusura, watunga sheria na nchi nzima iliyoathirika na ukatili wa kijinsia kwenye vituo vyako pendwa vya redio. Piga simu 0800-428-428 ili kuripoti unyanyasaji au kupata msaada. GBV ikomeshwe na wewe. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na shirika la SABC.
The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mosito. Only on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Well, it's that time of the day where we have to hand over the mic to the team of Africa in Business. And standing in for Tommy Ngubeni this afternoon is Mr. Innocent Simo. So how are you doing, my brother?
Fantastic, man. Happy New Year. It's good to see you.
Happy New Year to you too, man. How was did you rest? Did you travel a bit?
Tell you what, I didn't rest.
You were working.
But I'm back again. No, I didn't. I was not working, but I was, busy at home. There's this and that, so hardly rest.
You got a different kind of rest nonetheless.
100%.
You know what's coming up on African Business?
So coming up on the show, we look at everything rating agencies. The global rating agency Fitch rating has downgraded the African Export-Import Bank. This is Afrexim Bank to non-investment grade. The agency is citing several factors: risk, exposure, weakening policy. And so for that conversation, we'll be joined by Dr. Sifiso Falala. He's the founder of the newly formed Africa Credit Rating Association. So we want to talk to him about whether or not what Fitch is raising, is it a fair assessment of what's happening on the ground? And it's important also to note that out of the 53 African countries, only 33 are rated, only 2 are investable. So that
Only
is a problem. I'm telling you. So that's a problem. So that's what we'll be looking at. But also we'll be looking at the South African auto industry. They say that they're not in favor of the new vehicle exporters being hammered with an increase in import duties to 50%. So I guess what they're saying here is that they need to just build their plants here. So that's what's coming up on the show.
Interesting show. And as always, very informative, business centered. And let me tell you something. If you are in the space of, trying to do investments within the African continent, Africa in Business is the show to listen to. We'll check you out later. Thank you so much for your time. It's 5 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African time. From us, the upside, as we say goodbye. We'll see you again tomorrow. Same time, same place. Don't go anywhere. African Business coming up next.
Whoa, whoa.